Okay, Sifu, so I guess the subject matter of this video is loyalty to your school and to your martial arts master. And, a few weeks ago, I was wanting to learn how to use a particular weapon, and I logged on and found a video, and I was just checking it out just to get some ideas. And you came to me, and I appreciate the way you did this because it was so, I love it, so fatherly, masterly, calm, yet very educational, to let me know how you felt about that, learning something from a different teacher that, that you are well capable of teaching. And I guess it was because it was something that that I hadn't studied yet, and and I say yet, put emphasis on that. But I guess just a little anxious and wanting to, not wanting to bother you, I guess. But I truly do appreciate how you came to me and educating me on loyalty to learning from one master, one teacher in the martial arts world. And I think it's very necessary to share what you shared with me, with your community of supporters. And because I'm truly appreciative, and I see your point, and I agree with it 100%. And I'm really excited to learn more from you in my studies as a martial arts student of yours. So would you share what you shared with me a few weeks ago, and how you feel about loyalty to your school, to your master, and how that carries on with the tradition of what you're teaching, at your kuno?
Yeah, so that happened, and you mentioned that we should make a video, and that's something that was in the back of my mind that we should make a video. But what happened today that sparked this video is that one of my top students sent me this video link, and he's like, hey, look at this video, this this style of martial art at this moment shows how effective it is against big people. And I didn't watch the video because I don't like watching other people's videos. I like to create my own, and I don't like to have people tell me how to do something. I like to figure it out on my own. But basically, I took offense to that message, but I told him right away, I'm like, look, don't ever send me videos of this style because I'm not going to watch it. And then he right away sent me a message saying, oh, it wasn't a real video about that style, it's just basically a compilation of people sparring, and this is what happened in that sparring, and stuff like that. He's like, I won't do that again out of respect. But that's pretty much what motivated to put this video out there, because before he sent that message, I was actually thinking about, like, how could it be this student and another one of my top students, how could they keep sending me all these videos from other schools and other things? I just didn't understand, like, they should know, about this, but it's almost like they don't understand.
Yeah.
And you didn't understand, and you didn't do it out of disrespect, you just didn't know. But we had a discussion for maybe 30 minutes or even longer about the whole situation, and that made it finally clarified for you. But I wanted to make this video to make it clear to all my students, and also to the people that may be studying under a martial arts school, some things that they might do that may be offensive to the teacher of the school. Another instance that happened maybe just a couple of days ago, this woman, she emailed me saying, oh, I want to hire you as a personal trainer. I have martial arts experience, and I did this and I did that, and maybe we could do some martial arts stuff and also do some fitness stuff. And then we were scheduled to train next week. But then she sent me a message and she said, I mentioned it to one of my instructors at my martial arts school that I was gonna learn from you or train with you, and he took offense to that. And then she said that I trained with him for, in that school for 8 years, and I want to do anything offensive, and she's like, I'm not gonna be able to train with you. So that's another instance, an example of how offensive it could be for certain people when it comes to this type of tradition. And we live in a society where it's always like, oh, it's very fast paced, and especially with these YouTube videos, people are just like, logging on and just learning from all these different random people. To me, it's almost similar to maybe pornography compared to like finding a soulmate, or like a life partner where you share certain special experiences with that you don't share with just the entire world. Like it's the difference between that, and a martial arts school, a real martial arts school, is not gonna be, it's almost like the opposite of like just a commercial gym. It's not just going into a gym and then working out. There's relationships being established with the teacher and also with the other students in the school. It's like you're building a family, and think about it, you can only, well, I know some people have long names, but typically usually you only have one last name, because if it's Freddie Lee, even if it was Freddie Jason Lee, Lee is still the last name, so you can only have one last name, right? So you're representing that, when you have that label, you're representing that family, like the Lee family, and it's like the martial arts, when you join a martial arts school, like if you're loyal and you're committed to that school, then you're representing that school, and when it comes to the martial arts, I've been studying it for so long, like maybe over 26 years, and I really love the martial arts. My loyalty pretty much goes to, like Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, and then it becomes into my expression of the martial arts. Now, when I open a school and I teach my way, and I have students that are learning my expression, then I would want my top students and my loyal students to make the school a part of them as well, and it becomes kind of like their family as well. So then they will learn from me, but obviously as I'm growing as well, I'm learning as well. So we learn together, and essentially we can even create together. Now, it's just, if you own a business, it only makes sense that you want to put your greatest efforts in your life to better your business to the best that it possibly can be. It doesn't make sense for you to, oh, this is my business, so let me just let it go out of business while I help somebody else make his business thrive. Like, this is your business. Why would you not put your greatest efforts in to better your business? If you put 50% into your business and 50% into another person's business, that's still not good, because you're not putting the full 100% potential into yours. And that's kind of how a martial art school owner is. Like, he wants to put his total energies into his art, into his business, to take it to the highest level. And the loyal students are the ones that are supposed to embrace that part of them as much as they can to help build it. And the loyal students will have other jobs, like one of the students is a postal worker, another one's a bus driver, another one's a therapist. They got their ways of making their money. But then with their leftover time, as much as they can dedicate would be towards the school, say they put like 30% into the school and then the rest is family and work, that 30% should be for the school. But if they put 15% into the school and 15% into another school, then the teacher, the school owner, will question the loyalty of the student. And if he's questioning the loyalty of the student, then it will be natural for him to withhold his teachings, certain special teachings, so then it will not get like mishandled or put into the wrong hands, or just basically, you know, you don't want to give something to somebody who's something special to somebody who's not loyal.
Yeah.
You know, because it means so much to you. You know, and when we talk about relationships, you're talking about like the act of making love, of kissing, of massaging, or just experiencing intimacy together. That's a part of something where usually people will hold that to be very, you know, very important, and something that they will only share with just maybe one other individual and nobody else. Martial arts is kind of similar to that, but it's not just, usually it's not just one person, but it's just selected people of whom have shown that loyalty and commitment towards the school. And by blood, that's why a lot of Chinese martial arts is, in the traditional Chinese martial arts, they'd say they only teach to either the family and that's it, by blood, or the Chinese by blood. And then back in Bruce's time and before that, they wouldn't teach foreigners. They wouldn't teach whites or blacks or Hispanics or anybody else. You'd have to be either in the family name, so that'd be like me only teaching my sons, and that's it, that have my last name. Or it grows beyond that and just only Chinese. And they were even giving Bruce Lee, the Wing Chun school is even giving Bruce Lee a problem for being like part German, like 1/4 German. They're like, hey, you know, he's not supposed to be in this school because he's 1/4 German. He's not full Chinese. He shouldn't be here. Like, that's how it was back then. You know, that's the traditional, you know, and some people might be like, oh, that's racism, but it's not necessarily racism in their eyes, because they're looking at it in the standpoint of keeping the purity of the Chinese martial arts.
Yes.
You know, so like when your blood is something, you can't deny that. You could try to, but it's still who you are. You know, like I can hang around with a bunch of black people all I want, a bunch of white people, but they look at me, do research on my roots, you'll see that I am Chinese. That's where I came from. That's my blood. You know, so like in the martial arts, they wanted to keep it as pure as they can. So when we bring it back to this contest, like years later, and you're talking about like, you know, equal treatment and equal opportunity and, you know, not being racist and all that stuff. Okay, fine, like anybody of all cultures can learn, of all races can learn, but the people had to be loyal, they had to be committed, they have to have the heart to put into the school and not into somebody else's school or somebody else's way. Because if a person is divided, you know, I'm teaching one way and another school's teaching another way, then the person is going to be divided. Like now he has two masters pulling him in both directions. And now there's struggle and conflict. And as a master who's caught in between that, you're going to question that loyalty of that student the whole time. And then it's better just to let him go, because, you know, either let him go or just kind of talk with him directly and figure out what he wants out of the training. Once it's determined, sometimes martial art teachers might not even mention it, because they'll just be like, you know, I'm going to use this person to help pay the light bills, to help keep the school open, the doors open, but I'm not going to give my inner teachings to this student because I already know he's in another school. and he's not fully committed to this school.
Yes.
You know, and as a student, you're kind of like, you know, the mentality of a student is like just as a consumer. It's not, you don't own the business, or you don't own that business. I just want to be the best that I could be. And then that comes into this mentality where it's like you just take from everything that you want to make your own. And then that's almost like a student that wants to just learn from everybody to create his own school. And there's people that do that. But still, as a school owner, that person's still not on your side if they're going to build their own. It's almost like a student coming in and potentially maybe even taking students from this school to build their own, and then they become like a direct competition.
Yes.
So, I mean, in business, not even with the martial arts, I mean, this is something that happens all the time, and it's hard to regulate. A lot of times it might be based on feeling, but people are led astray by a lot of different factors.
Yes.
You know, they just maybe like, they're not paying me enough, so then they jump to another job. You know, you see employers, they put so much money into a certain employee. They might have did 5 years of specialized training for this employee, only to have that employee quit and take all those skill sets into another company. And other companies will outrightly start recruiting employees to leave that company and to go to their company. See, we live in a culture, especially in America, where there's a really strong lack of loyalty in everything that we do. Not just in relationships, but you see in relationships, there's like divorces rampant. Not just divorces, but just breakups rampant. I mean, it's rare to even find a couple that's been together for 5 years or longer, or maybe even a year or longer. So relationships are just used and discarded. People are just used and discarded. You see the same thing in employment. People are just jumping from job to job to job. You know, like, I'm not happy here, you know, I don't like working with this guy, let me just go to another job. Not enough money, let me just go to another job. I'm not happy, this is not what I like to do, I'm too bored, let me go to another job. I mean, who do you know that actually has the same job and is happy with it for like over 5, 10, 20, 30 years? It's just, the culture's changed, everything's living so fast paced that there's no loyalty in work, there's no loyalty in relationships. So what makes people think that there's going to be loyalty in the martial arts? You know, so to find a martial arts school in itself, like a real martial arts school that's like a kind of like a tradition that lives by these certain traditions, it's rare. You know, like I said, this is not just a gym. This is not just a boxing gym, a boxing club. Oh, let me just go here to box, let me go there and box, just like going from part to part to part to play basketball. You know, that's not what martial arts, the real martial arts is about. The real martial arts is like, especially according to the Chinese in the past, when they would accept a disciple, essentially is as serious as adopting a child. That's how it was back then. Like, it's like you're taking that person in as a child. So that's like, how can you have 10,000 students? That's like having a father have 10,000 kids. You can't. You're not having money and you don't have the time to take care of all those kids. The more kids that you have, the less attention that all the kids will have. So then, what can you actually manage? You know, most fathers, they might just manage 2 kids, maybe 3, maybe 4. But I mean, when it gets excess, 10 kids, 20 kids, 30 kids, I mean, really? Is he really there for each kid? So, like, the more kids there are, the less quality of the time from the father. You know, but the martial arts is essentially supposed to be carried on from a heart-to-heart connection with each, not just student, but disciple. You know, so that's why the martial arts is supposed to be carried on by your children. And then some martial artists just are not fortunate enough to be able to have children for whatever reason, and then they have no choice but to try to find those disciples that will carry on their art in the most purest form outside of the blood. You know, so like that's where it's at this moment, is like you carry on the martial arts through blood, and you carry on through the loyal disciples. And then the students that just jumped from place to place to place, those aren't really your disciples. They might just be people to help pay the bills to keep the doors open. Just a customer. You know, and the martial art teacher is not necessarily going to be vocal and open about telling you what's going on, because he's just going to identify what's your situation and just kind of put you in a certain category. Okay, this person's not serious. That's not the one that should be getting these teachings. Or he could take the time to explain to you, which I've done with you, what it means to be loyal to the school. You know, and people don't really realize what they're doing when it comes to this YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, they just type in, oh, let me go learn this, and then this person pops up. But that's like, you know, you joining my school, and then right after you leave my school, you go into another school, and you pay money, sign a contract, learn from somebody else. I mean, that'd be like more obvious.
Yes.
Or in another way, you don't want to pay, so you peer through the window, watching him use his nunchucks. You know, like you're like for like an hour, like, oh, what is he doing? Like that's another. You know, it'd feel awkward.
Yeah.
But sometimes, I mean, we're there's so many things coming to us from media. Sometimes it's hard to stop. I mean, I'm not saying to like withhold yourself from being exposed to media, but say you go to a movie and you see somebody doing some kicks on the screen and some nunchucks and whatever weapons, like you can't, like Spider-Man or whatever, you can't stop. I mean, that you just went to watch a movie, you can't stop being influenced by that, other than just not watching the movie. But that's not like the martial art master be like, no, you can't watch movies. I mean, that's just unreasonable. But it's reasonable for a martial art master to be like, why are you purposefully going to the search engine? How do you learn this? How do you do that? Like, why didn't you ask me to teach you what I know? Or if I don't know it to the extent of which you want to be at that, you know, at a higher level, then let's work on it together to build a form or a way that will represent this school. Yes. Like, allow yourself the opportunity to dive deep into your creativity to create. And we'll do it together, because as a martial arts teacher, you have that ability. It's in you. It just hasn't been tapped because you hadn't put your energy into that just yet. Right. You know, because we're working on this, you know, nunchucks, we're working on this tiger form, we're working on this phoenix form. We haven't gotten to that weapon just yet because there's so many other things to work on. Yes. So let's make sure that you're good at sparring and actually defending yourself if you got attacked, rather than working on this weapon that you're not going to carry around with you anyway. So it's just kind of like a, you know, it's a curriculum, like learning at a progression where you got to start from the most important things before you start getting to these fancy things or these things that are more artistic in nature. We have to properly categorize what is important to learn before we get to this part. But if you start jumping into like, well, I don't like that part, let me just jump to this part because I really want to do this part. And then you go to another school to do that in a roundabout way, then it's kind of, once again, it goes back to why don't we work on this together? Yes. Allow this to be an opportunity for us to learn together, grow together, and create together. You know, so then we could authentically have something that was created from this school, and not something that was stolen from another school, another teacher, brought back to this school. Hey, look what I got. Look at here. Hey, let's use this. And like, this is what they were doing. Then it's like, it's fraudulent because it hadn't come from, it didn't come from you, and it didn't come from the owner of the school. It didn't come from anybody in the school. It came from somebody on the outside, and it's not representing the school. You know, so art, remember, it's martial arts. Art is a big part of art is creativity. So you look at artists, Michelangelo or Vincent van Gogh, you like artists, like different artists. What makes an artist is somebody that creates from within. So as a martial arts teacher, I'm supposed to share with you my creativities in order to essentially maybe one day spark your creativities, so then you could create your own as well. You know, but once you get caught in between two different masters, it's gonna be very, very confusing, and more than likely, if the master finds out about it, he's gonna feel very much offended, and then start to refrain from sharing any more of the deeper aspects of the art. And then you essentially, you might be like, oh, it'd be great to have 10 masters, but the masters find out about each other, then there might be 9 or maybe all 10 of them be like, look, this is not even a serious student, so I'm not going to put my all into him. So then you not really have 10 masters, you got 10 masters that are maybe giving you 10%, yes, rather than 100%. Because they've already identified your lack of loyalty. You know, so why, why put your energy into somebody that's not serious or is going to be gone anyway, or whatever the case may be. You know, it's like signing a contract, having somebody sign a contract for something knowing that they're not going to, already knowing beforehand that they're not going to pay you anyway, yeah, or something like that, you know. But like I said, I just think that people don't understand, because there's just not that many martial arts schools out there to begin with to educate people. And another thing is, a lot of times the students do have power because they're holding the money, and then if the martial arts master is put in between either shutting down the school or submitting to what the students want, then sometimes the masters will just give in to the students, and then the students end up dictating the direction of the school rather than the master himself. So the master ends up becoming the puppet of the students.
If I may interject, it is also the master's responsibility to educate them on the whys. You know, this is authentic. This is genuine. This is the type of training that you're going to be paying for. You know, and to come to trust the master or the teacher to give them that authentic experience, that authentic teachings. And so it would be my hope that, you know, as students come in questioning or wanting to explore this new thing, if they're new to martial arts, that they would, instead of trying to impose what they feel is right and what they want and what they need, that they, since they're coming to you or to, you know, wherever the facility they're going to, that they would trust you to be the expert, you know, on what it is that will help them to grow or become better or to achieve whatever goal it is that they have, instead of imposing, you know, well, I think that I should do this. It's like a person going to a personal trainer telling them, well, you know what, I know that you've been doing this for 30 years and I know that you have all this experience and all this education, but I want you to train me this way because I'm paying you. Instead of going to the trainer saying, okay, you're the expert here, this is what's going on with me, this is what I need, how can you help me? You know? So it would be my hope that more people would come to you that way, you know, instead of trying to impose what they feel, you know, since you're the expert in the situation, you know. And another thing that I love that you said, especially when when we had our moment when you were educating me on the loyalties of, you know, martial arts and mastery and all that, I love the idea and the opportunity to create, you know. First learning the essentials, learning the basics, learning the fundamentals, and then growing from that, because in that lies the ability to form a strong relationship, a strong bond. And I see that happening, you know, at the school. I see that happening with the students that you're teaching. There's a bond that's there, you know, even if they came from different places, different walks of life. And that's a great way to teach, you know. First letting them know you do have the capability and the ability to create, you know. You can actually do this. And, you know, from what I'm learning so far about Bruce Lee's legacy, is that that's what he wanted, you know, for his pupils to go on after him and, you know, create your own thing, because you're capable, you know. So so I just want to express my appreciation and you know, my support in how you're teaching and how you're pushing and educating, you know, your students and your clients.
Yeah, like everybody can create. You know, children are the greatest at just creating, and they're just natural, yeah. Right? But there's a part where creativity, like refined creativity, yes. Like a difference between like a child's creativity that's 5 years old and like a Vincent van Gogh or a Beethoven creativity, like where it's at such a, almost like a genius level of creativity, you know. And my objective is to give you a foundation to work off of, to almost perfect that foundation, and then start creating from there. Opposed to, because the problem, I think people misunderstand those teachings of Bruce and even of myself when we say, all right, let me teach you to, you know, to do it yourself, or to be creative and do your own thing, whatever the case may be, is they end up going, they end up maybe just jumping too early before they're ready, and then it just kills the expression, and it's not of something of beauty. It's almost like, I'll explain it like this, it's like a child being aborted. You know, like it takes 9 months, right? But if you just do 3 months, it won't live. Even 4 months or 3 weeks. Like it takes time before, but even after 9 months, okay, he's born, but he can't even, you know, he can't be the greatest, you know, athlete in the world, can't be a police officer, can't be a firefighter at 9 months, you know, like it takes time, like 18 years, 21 years. I mean, Tupac, for example, died at 25, but look at that look at him and his life in a matter of 25 years. Yes. But who do you know that's as famous as Bruce Lee or Tupac or Michael Jordan at the age of 14 or 16 or even 18? Like, we need more time to refine, to develop our foundation, like language ability, and just learning about your psychology and your emotions and spirituality and meditation, your physical level, like growing and getting taller and getting stronger. Like, so many things need to be developed to the point where you could be truly blossom. I mean, think about plants, flowers. I mean, I don't take care of that many, but I know that there's a process of till they blossom. Or even a butterfly, you know, coming from caterpillar to turning to a butterfly. Like, my objective is to provide that foundation of creativity, like that foundation, the alphabet, and almost perfect that, and then start creating. Don't create too early, because what you create probably won't work. It won't be practical. It won't be something that's truly artful, because you are not ready to create. So that's why the martial arts master is taking these children in a way in to develop them, to get the strong foundation until they're ready to create. And once they are ready to create, then not to turn against the school, but to enhance the school by having more talent, more expertise within the school and building the school.
Yes.
Like the movie 300 Spartan, you know? Not just one Spartan, but 300 of them. How powerful that is. So creativity is good, but you gotta wait for you gotta not just wait, but you gotta work towards and build yourself to be able to be qualified to create to a certain standard. Because like I said, everybody can create. I mean, everybody can make not everybody, but a lot of people can make a YouTube video, but which channels are the ones that are actually impacting people's lives? You know? And if you're not meant to be one of those great creators, then it's not that bad to be a great follower. And in a way, we're all followers in one way or another.
Yes.
You know, especially if we submit and surrender to a higher power. We're all followers in one way or another. So it's not that bad to be a follower as long as you're following somebody who is a great leader. And if you don't have a great leader, then you got to build yourself up to become that great leader. You know, and, you know, going back to the loyalty, the offense takes place is when you feel that your student doesn't think that you're great enough to lead them. And then they go to somebody else. And that's where the offense takes place. Like, I'm not qualified enough to teach you this, that you had to go. Like I said, it's not like I'm saying, hey, I'm going to teach you how to fix your car, even though I don't know nothing about cars. I'm Sifu, I'm teaching you how to fix your car. Like, that's not what I do. Like, but this is combat, this is my specialty, this is what we do. There's no need to go outside of this school to learn this aspect, you know, of Kung Fu. But as we develop our school and we have different people with different talents, like you have that track and field background, for example, that I don't have, or any other student doesn't have, then that's when we could take from your knowledge, your expertise in some area, and help that benefit the school. Because you're actually in the school with what you know. But, you know, if a student goes into watching a YouTube video and learning about how to jump higher or how to do the, you know, like a track and field, or how to, something that's how to cook better. I mean, this stuff is like, you know, that's okay. But I'm morely talking about the combative element and also the martial art element of the artistic martial arts aspect is the thing that becomes pretty offensive, but that the students might not understand, you know. But with this high promotion of the MMA, this so-called mixed martial arts, it's almost making all students that are interested in the martial arts to think that this is okay, that this is the thing to do, that this is how you're supposed to get better. You can't limit yourself to just one thing. And they use Bruce Lee's teachings to justify that. Use no limitation as limitation. So basically just learn from everybody. Don't accept one person as a master, because one person is going to limit you. So that's the thing that they use to justify this type of behavior. You know, but this is the other side of it, you know, and there's something important about loyalty that, I mean, it can make or break a relationship, you know what I mean? Like, if your employer finds out that you're going to leave in 2 years, for sure, it may change certain things, you know, because he might have you on a lifetime plan, but then now it's 2 years, you know, and it's just, when you know the future beforehand, you date somebody and you know it's going to end in 3 months, it's going to change certain things when you know something. You know, so when you know somebody's not loyal as a teacher, why would you put your all into this student that's not going to be there? You know, and you might think that you still have a teacher, but he's not really there. You know, his heart is not there. his body might be there, but his heart is not there, and he's just, you know, people think that, oh, let me just pay, that's another thing. Some students would try to negotiate and get lowball the rates and all that stuff, but the person might be there, but the quality is not. There's a difference when you work for somebody who's willing to pay $500 an hour and 5 cents an hour. I mean, that's how much you value my teachings, 5 cents an hour. You think that the teacher's really going to put his everything into 5 cents an hour? I mean, would you want to work for 5 cents an hour? I mean, who wants to work for 5 cents an hour, right? But when people be like, you know what, whatever you're charging, I'm going to pay because I value what you teach and it's well worth the money, and take this money, then the teacher's like, wow, this person, now the person's paying $30 an hour, but then the teacher gives $100 worth of an hour worth of teachings, because he just feels the gratitude and the gratefulness and the appreciation. But when you got students like, you know what, show me everything you know for free, because that's what YouTube, for free, everything you know for free. I mean, how does that make the teacher feel? It's just like, really, like, you can't even pay $1 for my time, and you want to learn everything I know for free. And that's the thing that these teachers go through, and it's really hard to find loyalty in this type of culture that we live in. And like I said, it's not about race, but I can understand why the Chinese were the way that they were when it comes to the deep traditional. And if it's not in regards to race, it could just be family. I mean, really, what does it mean to have a family? Like, there's a reason why, like, Jaden Smith is like freaking in movies right now already, because his father's Will Smith and the money is going to Jaden. I mean, it's like the royal family that, like, they look at, like, Kim Kardashian's daughter is like already famous more than everybody in this world already. She's just a little baby. So the fame gets passed on, the money gets passed. That's passed on with family. So you see it going on in Hollywood. You see it going on with these celebrities. What, you don't think this is gonna happen with martial arts too? Like, this is our martial art that we create in this family. Why should we give it to anybody else? You don't see Will Smith sending me a check for $2 million that he don't know. Like, oh, you family, man. Here's $2 million. Like, he don't do that. So, like, martial arts is supposed to be for family. So people that are close to you, and then you're gonna share this spirit, this special art that you created from all these decades. You're gonna share it to this person that used to be a stranger, but is no longer a stranger. This person is a part of you now. And that happens. It has nothing to do with race. It's just a special connection. So people, they might not realize how offensive it can be. So like I said, husband and wife married or whatever, like deeply in love, and then the husband's like, hey, look at this new chick I got. What you think? It's like, that's kind of what happened. Like, martial arts school. Hey, I'm going to this school. Look at this video. Look at this video. Like really, like, like they don't get it. So I know your loyalty is here, and I know Shen's loyalty is here with the school. Yeah. And even in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this a joke? That's what in my back of my mind before you said. I'm like, is this a joke? I'm like, seriously? I'm like, 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 he knows how I feel about that style, and I'm like, is this a joke? Right. And then it ended up being a joke, because that's how he is. He's a joking person. Yeah. But then that slight moment of those few minutes that passed, all these thoughts started rushing through my mind. Like, man, I'm like, man, what if this is serious? I mean, oh my God. I'm like, do I really have to explain this to somebody that's been training here for like 3 years? I'm like, come, like, seriously? you know. But I mean, martial arts really means a lot to me, and I know why, but I think it's to me, I even surprise myself why it means, you know, I surprise myself to even see how much it means to me, and it just, to me, it just shows how different I am, because most people wouldn't take offense to stuff that I take offense to. They're like, oh, what's wrong with people calling Bruce Lee the father of MMA? There's nothing wrong with that. I'm like, like, oh my god. Like, that's like saying, like, God's the father of Satan or something like that. I mean, it's just like something that's just like crazy, you know? It's just like, but that could be another topic. But I mean, it's just, it means a lot to me, and I'm glad to at least get this recorded and, you know, put on video so then other people could gain an insight into some of the conversations that we have about this topic. Yeah. You know, I think it'd be very helpful when people see it from this perspective. You know. But
well, we thank you for your teachings.